Imagine stepping off the plane in a brand new country, maybe for a job, studies, or just, a fresh start. And suddenly you need to handle your money. So you walk into a bank and it hits you. It's not just about dollars and cents, it's about navigating a completely unique linguistic landscape. You might think, I know English, I'll be fine. But then the questions start. And you quickly realize that U.S. banking English is, well, a whole different ballgame. It can feel surprisingly nerve-wracking, almost like you've walked into some kind of secret club where everyone else knows the handshake. Well, today we are taking a deep dive into exactly that, cracking the code of U.S. banking language. Our mission isn't just to hand you a list of definitions. Oh no, that would be far too dry and frankly not very helpful for real life, right? Instead, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real phrases, the often unspoken tone, and the specific style of communication that Americans naturally use. When they talk about money, accounts, and all those essential financial services, we're talking about the nuanced expressions, the cultural assumptions, the polite conventions that can genuinely make or break your confidence when you're trying to manage your funds. Because knowing these precise, often unwritten rules isn't just a nice to have. It's a genuine shortcut to feeling incredibly confident, avoiding frustrating misunderstandings, and honestly, saving yourself a lot of time and potential headaches. It's actually quite fascinating how much culture is embedded in these everyday interactions.
It really is. What's truly eye-opening is that even something as seemingly universal as, say, opening an account, that can reveal surprising cultural differences that might catch you off guard. In many countries, you might simply walk in, state your desire to open an account, right? And the bank representative will guide you through every option. But in the US, that simple statement can immediately lead to a question like, are you interested in a checking or a savings account? And this isn't just a basic query. It assumes a fundamental distinction in how money is managed here, a distinction that isn't always so clearly differentiated in other banking systems around the world. And it's not just about these bigger concepts either. It's also profoundly about the importance of specific polite expressions. The small, seemingly insignificant phrases that transform a purely transactional conversation into something smooth, professional, and ultimately much more pleasant. These little linguistic signposts are often the keys to unlocking a confident experience.
That's such a brilliant point. It really is those little things that often make the biggest difference in how comfortable and capable you feel. So, by the end of this deep dive, you're going to feel incredibly empowered. You'll be able to walk into any U.S. bank, confidently navigate their online systems, and communicate with such ease that you'll not only understand what's being said, but also how to respond naturally, like a native speaker. Our goal is really to make sure your financial journey in the US is as smooth and stress free as possible. It's about feeling truly at ease, like you belong, right from the first interaction, which for me is the most interesting part of all of this.
Okay, let's unpack this right from the start. We just touched on it, but why isn't simply saying I want to open an account enough in the US? It sounds incredibly straightforward, right? But as you mentioned, there's a whole intricate layer of cultural and contextual nuance woven into these interactions. It's really more than just knowing a word. It's about understanding the entire um, conversational dance that surrounds it.
Indeed. What's truly fascinating here is that the U.S. banking system is quite distinct. It's full of unique terms, specific abbreviations, and a very particular set of polite customer service phrases that might genuinely surprise someone new to the country. And these aren't just, polite add-ons or unnecessary fluff. They convey absolutely crucial information and deeply set the expectations for the interaction. Think of it this way. If you're not aware of these specific phrases, you might inadvertently convey a different meaning or appear confused, or even in some cases seem less trustworthy from a compliance standpoint. This can lead to longer, more complicated interactions and ultimately more frustration for everyone involved. For example, if you walk into a bank in many other countries and say, I'd like to open an account, it's often understood as a general request, right? And the bank representative will guide you from there, explaining all available account types. But in the U.S., that initial question about checking or savings accounts immediately puts the onus on you to know the distinction, which is a fundamental difference in how everyday finances are structured here.
This is also deeply connected to U.S. regulatory requirements, like Know Your Customer or KYC, and anti-money laundering AML laws, which are very strict here. Banks need to understand your financial intent and source of funds right from the outset.
And that checking versus savings distinction is probably the primary example of this fundamental difference, isn't it? It's something so ingrained in the American financial landscape that it's often the very first question a banker will ask you. So let's drill down on that. A checking account, it's fundamentally designed for your everyday spending, right? This is where your salary typically goes, where you pay your bills, where you use your debit card for purchases. It's the active transactional hub of your daily finance of the account you're always kind of dipping into.
Precisely. And in stark contrast, a savings account has a very different primary purpose. It's designed specifically for storing money, often with the goal of earning a small amount of interest, though interest rates can vary significantly. While you can typically transfer money out of a savings account, it's generally not meant for frequent daily transactions like a checking account is. Think of it as your long-term money holding space, a place to um, grow your funds for future goals, whereas the checking account is your short-term spending tool. The practical relevance here is immense. Understanding this distinction from that very first question, are you interested in the checking or savings account, is absolutely critical. It helps you align with your actual financial goals and how you plan to manage your daily life. We've seen countless examples where newcomers, maybe used to a more generalized account type, try to pay rent directly from a savings account, only to find it's either difficult, incurs fees, or even has limits on the number of withdrawals per month, which is a federal regulation actually, Regulation D, although some rules changed recently. Or, conversely, they might keep all their money in a checking account and miss out on the small but compounding interest a savings account offers. Beyond these two, you might also hear about money market accounts. They're sort of a hybrid. They offer some check writing privileges, usually with higher interest rates than standard savings accounts. Or you might hear about specialized student accounts or youth accounts that come with lower fees or different requirements. Knowing these terms helps you understand the breadth of options available.
It truly sounds like choosing the right type of account from the get-go really sets the stage for efficient money management and avoids a lot of frustration down the line. And speaking of foundational interactions, what about, can I see some ID? That seems like a simple enough request, universally understood, but there's a significant cultural specific hidden there in the US, isn't there? I mean, I can just show any ID, right? Like anything with my name on it.
Absolutely not. That's a classic misconception and a really important one to clear up. While ID sounds universal, in U.S. banking, it almost always means a very specific type of official photo identification. We're talking about a government-issued document, so like a valid driver's license from any U.S. state, a passport from any country, or a U.S. state ID card. It is not just any form of identification you might have, like a library card or a student ID from your university, or even a foreign non-photo ID that isn't a passport. This level of specificity is crucial because if you offer, say, a library card or maybe a work ID without a photo, you'll likely be met with a polite but firm request for a different form of identification, which can be incredibly frustrating if you weren't expecting it. The bank needs to verify your identity with a very high degree of certainty. It's for security and, again, for strict regulatory compliance. Specifically related to those KYC laws we mentioned, they need to be absolutely certain you are who you say you are to prevent fraud and money laundering. And for opening an account, they'll often require two forms of ID. One being that primary photo ID, and the second perhaps a debit card from another bank or a credit card, or sometimes even a recent utility bill can serve as a secondary form.
That makes perfect sense. It's all about security and following the rules, even if it feels a bit, well, over the top sometimes. And beyond the specific terms and required documents, American banking has a very particular set of polite expressions that, when you use them, just make the entire interaction flow smoothly and professionally. It's more than just good manners, it's genuinely part of the expected communication style.
Hmm.
It creates a sense of trust and efficiency. Things like, "How can I help you today?" Which is practically the standard opening line from any bank employee, right? Whether you're at the counter or calling customer service, or "Let me just pull up your account." Which means they're not just idly standing there, they're actively accessing your details on their computer system. It tells you they're, on it.
Exactly. And let's not forget, would you like a receipt for that? This is asked after virtually any transaction. Doesn't matter how small or simple it might seem, from a deposit to a simple balance inquiry. It's just standard practice. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these phrases aren't merely niceties. They truly set the tone for efficient customer service. And they strongly signal professionalism and a structured approach to banking. They are an intrinsic part of the tone and style of communication you need to sound natural and confident. By adopting these phrases yourself, you're not just being polite, you're demonstrating an understanding of the local customs and showing an ability to navigate the system, which can significantly enhance the quality and speed of your interactions. Imagine the difference. If you walk in and just say open account, it might work eventually. But if you say, "Good morning, I'd like to open a checking account, please," you immediately convey clarity, respect, and a readiness for a smooth process. It builds a subconscious rapport and can lead to a much more positive experience overall.
That's a fantastic point. It's about fitting into the expected conversational rhythm, almost like a social code you need to know. Now, let's move into a specific scenario that can feel quite daunting for anyone new to the system: actually opening a bank account. You described it earlier as feeling like a small interview, and that analogy is perfect because you are being asked questions and you are being given options, often with different implications for your money. This is where confident, precise language isn't just helpful, it's absolutely crucial, wouldn't you say?
It absolutely is. When you walk into a U.S. bank to open an account, the first voice you'll likely hear from a banker is that standard, warm greeting, "Hi, how can I help you today?"
And your confident, clear response should be direct and to the point. "I'd like to open a bank account, please." This immediately sets the stage for why you're there and signals your purpose without any ambiguity. It tells them precisely what service you require right off the bat. Okay, so once you've stated your intention, the banker will dive into those key questions, the ones that begin to shape what kind of account you'll be getting and also fulfill those crucial regulatory requirements we keep mentioning. We talked about it earlier, but it bears repeating because it's so foundational. Are you interested in a checking or savings account? Ugh. Again, understanding the purpose of each is vital here. You might even hear them suggest opening both, as many people find having both types of accounts incredibly convenient for managing different aspects of their finances. The checking for daily needs, the savings for future goals, like building an emergency fund or saving for a down payment on a car or house. They might even explain the benefits of linking them for easier transfers or overdraft protection.
Indeed. And then comes the absolutely critical identity verification step. The banker will almost certainly ask, "Do you have a valid photo ID?" We've already clarified this means your passport, driver's license, or a state ID card. Those are the main ones. These are the primary forms of identification that U.S. banks accept for opening accounts due to those strict regulatory requirements. They need a government-issued photo ID to confirm you are who you say you are, often cross-referencing it with government databases. You might also hear, "Can I have your proof of address?" This is equally important. Common examples include things like a utility bill, electricity, water, maybe gas or a rental agreement or lease with your name and address. A mortgage statement works too, or a recent official letter from a government agency or maybe your employer. Sometimes even a pay stub with your address on it is acceptable. This is required for verification to prevent fraud and ensure proper communication, because your debit card, statements, and other important documents will be mailed to this verified address. This is another key component of that know your customer process.
Right, they need to know where to send stuff. And a question that sometimes catches people off guard, but is asked for very important legal and security reasons, is what's your source of income? This isn't just the bank being nosy, is it?
No, not at all. It's about compliance with regulations designed to prevent money laundering and ensure financial transparency. It's part of those AML rules. They're essentially trying to understand the legitimate origin of the funds you'll be depositing, whether it's salary from a job, maybe income from your own business, investments, or something else entirely. Don't be alarmed by it. It's a standard question to help them fulfill their legal obligations. Just be honest and straightforward.
Okay, good to know it's standard procedure. Now, on your side, as the listener, it's incredibly empowering to have proactive phrases ready, to articulate your specific needs and goals right from the start. For example, if you're not banking alone, maybe with a spouse or partner, you can confidently state, I'd like to open a joint account. This signals you want to share the account with another person, and the banker will then guide you through the process of adding that second signatory, who will also need ID and verification.
Exactly. Or for convenience, you might say, I'd like to set up direct deposit. This is a really common, incredibly easy way for your salary, government benefits, or other regular payments to go straight into your account electronically. It completely bypasses physical checks, which are becoming less common anyway. It's also often a requirement to waive certain monthly maintenance fees on checking accounts.
Oh, that's a good tip. Linking fee waivers to direct deposit.
Yes, definitely ask about that. And if you want immediate access to your funds for spending, you definitely want to say, I'd like to link my account to my debit card. This ensures you can use your card for direct purchases at stores or online, or for ATM withdrawals pretty much right away. You might also ask, can I get a temporary card today? Some banks offer instant issue debit cards at the branch, which is super convenient if you need access immediately. Not all do, but it's worth asking.
These phrases are truly game changers for making your intentions crystal clear and ensuring the account meets your exact needs from the start. Avoids misunderstandings later. Beyond those, there are some essential vocabulary terms you'll encounter that are critical to understand, as they directly impact your money. For instance, minimum balance. This sounds important.
It is. This is the smallest amount of money you must keep in your account, usually on a daily or monthly average basis, to avoid incurring monthly maintenance fees. It's a really important detail to clarify because those fees, which can be anywhere from, say, $5 to maybe $25 per month, depending on the account type, they can add up quickly if you're not aware, potentially eroding your savings or balance. You should also always ask about ways to waive these fees. Like we mentioned, setting up direct deposit is a common one. Others might include maintaining a certain average daily balance, making a minimum number of debit card transactions each month, or sometimes linking multiple accounts together.
Okay, so always ask how to get the fee waived. What about overdraft protection? That sounds like a good thing.
Well, it's a service that prevents your account from going negative if you try to spend more money than you actually have. The bank covers the difference temporarily. While it sounds incredibly helpful avoiding the embarrassment of a declined card, it usually comes with a hefty fee for each overdraft transaction, often around $35 per item. It can be a real financial trap if you're not careful and rack up multiple overdrafts. Many consumer advocates advise against it. Many banks offer options to link your checking account to your savings account for overdraft transfers, which usually have a smaller fee, maybe $10 or $12. Or you can link it to a line of credit if you have one. Or, and this is important, you can choose to opt out of overdraft protection entirely for debit card transactions. If you opt out, your card will simply be declined if you don't have enough funds, saving you that expensive fee. You have to actively choose this, though.
Wow, okay. Opting out might be safer for some people. Good to know you have that choice. And for savings accounts, you mentioned APY. What is that exactly?
APY stands for Annual Percentage Yield. It's essentially the interest rate you earn on your savings over a full year. The key thing is that it takes into account the effect of compounding interest, meaning earning interest. Understanding APY is crucial because it's a standardized way to compare the true annual rate of return across different savings options from different banks. It makes it a better metric for comparison than just a simple interest rate, which might not reflect compounding. You want to look for a higher APY if your main goal is to grow your savings.
Got it. Higher APY is better for savings growth. So once the banker has done all the paperwork and computer work, what happens then?
Once the setup process is completed, they'll typically confirm your account is all set up, meaning it's active and ready for you to use, maybe make an initial deposit. And they'll usually inform you about your debit card. You should receive your debit card in the mail within 5-7 business days. Hooray. It's important to remember that in the U.S., business days specifically refer to Monday through Friday, excluding any public holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving. This detail helps manage your expectations about when your card will actually arrive and when you'll have full access to your funds via the card. They might also give you information on how to enroll in online banking or download and set up the mobile app right then and there.
Okay, so the card comes later usually. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and empowering for you, the listener. Asking questions. These proactive questions not only show you understand the system, but also help you avoid nasty surprises later. That's a huge aha moment for someone new to the system. For instance, confidently asking, is there a monthly fee? Right up front can save you money and headaches down the line. Simple but crucial. Similarly, asking, what's the minimum deposit to open this account ensures you have the necessary funds available right then and there. Some accounts require $25, some $100, some nothing. And in today's digital world, can I access my account online is a crucial question. You need to make sure you can manage your money conveniently from anywhere, 24/7. Don't be shy about asking follow-ups like, what are the mobile banking features? Or can I deposit checks using my phone's camera, which is a really common feature now.
Absolutely. By asking these direct questions, you're taking an active role in understanding the terms and conditions. You're not just passively receiving information. This proactive approach ensures that the account you're opening genuinely aligns with your financial habits and expectations. It prevents any unexpected charges or limitations from catching you off guard later. Finding out 6 months later you've been paying a fee you didn't know about. For example, you might also ask about transaction limits. Are there daily limits on ATM withdrawals or debit purchases? Or ask about foreign transaction fees if you travel frequently or buy things online from other countries. Those can be like 3% of the transaction amount. Or even just practical things like branch hours and ATM network access. Are there plenty of free ATMs nearby? It's about self-advocacy and empowerment in a new financial environment. You're showing the bank that you're an informed customer, which honestly can be surprisingly beneficial. They appreciate clarity.
Totally agree. It signals you're serious about managing your money. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about everyday banking once your account is all set up and ready to go. Visiting a physical bank branch in the USA usually means talking to a teller. That's the term for the person behind the counter who handles your basic transactions. While it might seem straightforward, the phrases and the etiquette here can be quite specific. Knowing them can make the difference between a quick, smooth interaction and a hesitant, maybe slightly awkward, prolonged one. And let's not forget the ubiquitous ATM, or automated teller machine, which is where many people do their basic deposits and withdrawals these days to avoid lines.
That's right. When you approach the counter, you'll almost always hear a polite greeting like, "Good morning," or "Good afternoon, how can I help you today?" Your response should then clearly state your intention. You might say, "I'd like to make a deposit," meaning you're putting money into your account. Be ready to specify if it's cash or a check, and which account checking or savings it should go into. Or perhaps, "I'd like to make a withdrawal," indicating you want to take money out. Another common one is, "I'd like to cash a check," which means converting a paper check into physical cash. You'll need ID for that usually. Being precise with these initial phrases helps the teller understand your need immediately, streamlining the entire process. For ATM usage, it's pretty visual. The screen will prompt you with options like deposit, withdrawal, balance inquiry, and transfer. You'll select your transaction type, enter your PIN, your personal identification number, and then just follow the on-screen instructions step by step.
Right. And once you've stated your purpose at the counter, the teller will often follow up with crucial verification questions to ensure security. This is standard. They'll typically ask, "Can I see your debit card and ID?" Even for seemingly simple transactions like a deposit. U.S. banks often require both to confirm your identity and ensure you're the legitimate account holder. It adds a vital layer of security against fraud. Don't take it personally. Then, if you're making a deposit, especially if you happen to have multiple accounts, they'll inquire, "What account would you like this deposited into?" Your clear answer would be, "My checking account, please," or "My savings account, please," reinforcing your understanding of the account types and making sure it goes to the right place. For withdrawals, they'll confirm the amount you want, like you wanted $100, and then they might ask, "How would you like your cash?"
Exactly. And for these counter transactions, there are a few key vocabulary terms that are useful to know, although they're becoming less common with digital banking. A deposit slip is a small paper form. You write down the amount of money you're putting into your account, usually breaking it down by cash and listing any checks separately, and you often need your account number. Similarly, a withdrawal slip is used when you're taking money out. You fill in the amount, sign it, and hand it to the teller with your ID and debit card. These paper forms are definitely fading a bit, especially at banks pushing digital options, but you'll still find them at the counter or in the lobby. And if you're cashing or depositing a check, the teller will likely ask you to endorse a check. This simply means signing your name on the back of it, usually in a designated area. This authorizes the bank to process it. There are actually a few ways to endorse. A simple signature is called a blank endorsement. You can also write "for deposit only," followed by your account number. That's a restrictive endorsement, safer if the check gets lost. Or you could sign it over to someone else by writing "pay to the order of name," and then signing, which is a special endorsement, though less common nowadays. This endorsement step is fundamental for paper checks and is often required for mobile check deposits using your phone too. You usually have to sign and write for mobile deposit only.
Okay, endorsing the check, that's key. Let's walk through a quick mini dialogue to bring this to life, like a typical cash withdrawal. So, you've asked to withdraw, say, $100. The teller has verified your ID. They might then ask, "How would you like your cash?" Meaning, what denominations of bills do you prefer? Fives, tens, 20s.
And you confidently could respond, "in 20s, please." This is a very common request. Yeah. Because $20 bills are the most widely used and accepted denomination in the U.S. They're just convenient for everyday use. You could also ask for fives, tens, or a mix like, "Could I get two 50s?" Or "Can I have it in 50s and 20s?"
Right. Then, after counting out the money and handing it to you, the teller will almost certainly ask that standard question, "Would you like a receipt?"
Yep. And your simple, polite answer would be "yes, please," or "no, thank you," depending on whether you want a paper record of the transaction. This seemingly small exchange is incredibly common and expected. Getting a receipt is always a good practice for your records, especially for larger amounts.
Definitely good for tracking. Beyond deposits and withdrawals, there are other polite expressions for different scenarios you might encounter at the counter. Like, if you have a large bill, maybe a $100 bill, and need smaller ones for parking or something, you can politely ask, "Could you please break this $100 bill?" If you're moving money between your own accounts at the same bank, you'd say, "I'd like to transfer funds from my savings to my checking account," specifying the amount. And to simply check how much money you have without doing a transaction, you'd ask, "Can I get a balance inquiry?" Or maybe, "Would you print my balance?"
Exactly. These phrases are direct, clear, and professional. They prevent any awkward fumbling or misunderstandings. You might also need to ask for a cashier's check or a money order. These are needed sometimes if you need a guaranteed form of payment. like for paying rent to a landlord who doesn't trust personal checks. Or for a large purchase, like a used car, there's usually a small fee for these. You'd say, I need to get a cashier's check for $6 payable to Nate.
Okay, cashier's checks for guaranteed funds. Now, something you mentioned earlier, small talk, this seems to pop up a lot in U.S. customer service.
It really does. It raises an important question. Why is small talk so integrated into what seems like a purely transactional environment? It can feel a bit strange at first. In U.S. banks, it's quite common to hear remarks from the teller like, how's your day going? Or busy morning? Or maybe commenting on the weather. This isn't just idle chatter. It's a very deliberate part of building rapport. It creates a friendlier, more personalized atmosphere. And surprisingly, that brief connection can be incredibly helpful if you ever need extra assistance or have a more complex issue to resolve later on. Having a familiar, friendly face can make a difference.
So, how should you respond? You don't want to get stuck in a long conversation if you're in a hurry.
Exactly. A brief, polite response is usually all that's needed. Something like, pretty good, thanks. How about yours? Or, not too bad, thank you. Works perfectly. It acknowledges the interaction politely without prolonging it unnecessarily, and it makes you seem more approachable. It's just part of the American customer service culture, which tends to value a personal touch, even in a quick transaction. It aims to humanize the process.
Makes sense. Be polite, brief, and move on. And what if you're unsure about something the teller is doing, or about a fee? Should you just stay quiet?
Oh, definitely not. If you're ever unsure about a process or a potential fee, please don't hesitate to ask for clarification. It's expected and encouraged. Saying something like, could you walk me through this, indicates you'd appreciate a step-by-step explanation. This is especially helpful for something less common, like maybe sending a wire transfer. And a crucial question for many services is there a fee for that? Always ask this up front. Fees can apply to various services like those wire transfers, especially international ones, which can be quite expensive, or for cashier's checks, as we mentioned, or for exchanging foreign currency. Always clarify fees before you agree to the service to avoid any unpleasant surprises or unexpected deductions from your account later.
Good advice. Anything else you should ask about fees or timing?
Yes, you might also ask, how long will this transaction take to process? This is key for things like wire transfers or even check deposits, as funds aren't always available immediately. Or, will I get a confirmation number? Or, is there a receipt for this, just to ensure you have proof?
Right. So, by confidently using these phrases, asking questions, even making a little small talk, you not only complete your transaction smoothly, but also establish a level of comfort and understanding with the bank staff.
Exactly. That rapport can be surprisingly beneficial, making future interactions even easier. It's about building a relationship, even in what might seem like a purely business setting. It's a very interesting aspect of U.S. customer service culture. It really humanizes the banking process.
Now, let's talk about where most banking happens these days. In the United
Mhm.
States, it's truly been a digital revolution when it comes to banking. It's really interesting how much things have changed. Most people now do the majority of their banking without ever setting foot in a physical branch. This might be a big shift if you're from a country where in-person banking is still the primary way people manage money. This means that online and mobile banking have become the new everyday banking reality for most Americans. If you're not familiar with the specific vocabulary and actions, navigating these apps or websites can feel incredibly confusing at first. There are so many options. But the good news is, once you learn these key phrases and concepts, you gain the freedom and incredible convenience to manage your money anywhere, anytime, right from your phone or computer.
That's absolutely right. When you log into your bank's website or mobile app, you'll typically be greeted by a few common sections. They're usually designed for quick access and giving you a comprehensive financial overview. First, there's usually an account summary. This provides a rapid at-a-glance overview of all your linked bank accounts, checking, savings, maybe credit cards, loans if you have them with that bank, and their current balances. It's essentially your financial dashboard, giving you the immediate picture of where you stand. Then you'll almost certainly find recent transactions. This is a detailed chronological list of all your latest activities: deposits, withdrawals, payments made, purchases with your debit card. It gives you a clear picture of what's happened recently, usually updated very quickly. And often there will be a section for pending transactions. This is really important to understand. These are charges or payments that you've made or deposits that are incoming but haven't yet been fully processed and officially posted to your account balance. This distinction is crucial for understanding your true available balance versus your current posted balance, so you don't accidentally overspend thinking you have more money available than you do.
Ah, pending versus posted. That's a key difference. Okay, what about the things you can do online? What are the common actions and phrases?
Right. The digital world has its own specific set of verbs and phrases you'll encounter constantly. For instance, you'll frequently see an option to set up a bill payment. This allows you to arrange for your bank to pay a specific company, like your utility provider, your landlord, your credit card company, even your gym membership, directly from your account. You can usually set up one-time payments for a specific date, or set up recurring payments like monthly rent, which is a huge convenience, saves time and stamps.
Definitely useful. What else?
You could also schedule a transfer. This means you're choosing a specific date, often a future date, to move money, usually between your own accounts at that bank, like checking to savings, or sometimes you can set up transfers to an external account you own at another bank. This is incredibly useful for planning your finances, like automatically moving money to your savings account right after payday.
Sort of pay yourself first.
Exactly. And instead of getting paper statements cluttering your mailbox, you'll almost always have the option to view e-statements or electronic statements. These are your official monthly bank statements, identical to the paper ones, but available securely online, usually as PDF files. This cuts down on paper waste, makes them easy to access anytime from anywhere, and often comes as a standard feature. Sometimes banks even charge a fee for paper statements now, encouraging you to go digital.
Okay, e-statements are the norm. What about key vocabulary specific to the digital realm?
Well, direct deposit remains a core term. Just as important online as in person, it signifies that your salary, government benefits, or other regular income is automatically sent straight into your account electronically. It eliminates physical checks and often makes funds available faster than depositing a paper check.
Beyond traditional bank transfers, there are also incredibly popular apps in the US like Zel and Venmo. Have you used those?
Oh yeah, all the time. Zelle's usually right in my banking app, Venmo's separate. Right. They're specifically designed for instant person-to-person or P2P money transfers. They make it incredibly easy to split a restaurant bill with friends, pay a roommate back for rent, or send money quickly to family members. Zelle is often integrated directly into many major U.S. bank apps for seamless bank-to-bank transfers using just an email or phone number. Venmo is a separate social payment app owned by PayPal that links to your bank account or debit card. It adds a social feed aspect too, which some people like, others not so much. Both have really revolutionized how people exchange money quickly for small amounts.
They really have. And what about security online? That's always a concern.
Absolutely critical. Perhaps one of the most important security features you'll encounter is two-factor authentication, often abbreviated as 2FA. You might also hear multi-factor authentication. This is a robust security measure that requires you to provide not only your password, but also a second piece of verification to prove it's really you. Often it's a unique, time-sensitive code sent via text message to your registered phone, or sometimes via email, or generated by an authenticator app. Some banks use fingerprint or face scans on mobile apps too. It's a vital layer of protection for your digital banking. It makes it much harder for unauthorized users to access your account, even if they somehow manage to get your password through phishing or data breaches. Most banks require it now for sensitive actions.
Okay, 2FA, super important. Let's run through a quick example scenario of sending money digitally using one of these apps, like Zelle maybe. Say you need to send your friend $50 for your share of last night's dinner. How would that typically work?
Sure. In your banking app, you'd typically navigate to a section like Send Money with Zelle or maybe just Transfers or Payments. You'd then need to select your friend. If you sent them money before, they might be in your recent contacts. If not, you'd usually enter their U.S. mobile phone number or email address that they've registered with Zelle. Then you type in the amount, $50. You might add a little note or memo like, dinner last night? Then you'd hit review or continue. The app might then display a confirmation screen, asking you to verify all the details one last time, the recipient, the amount, the account it's coming from. This is your chance to catch mistakes. Once you approve, you'd likely hit send or confirm. Then almost instantly you'd see a message like, your payment has been sent successfully, giving you immediate confirmation. The money usually arrives in their account within minutes if they're already enrolled.
Wow, yeah, it is incredibly fast. It's fundamentally revolutionized how people exchange money in the US, making physical cash or checks almost obsolete for small transactions between individuals.
It truly has. But even with the incredible convenience of online banking, things can still go wrong sometimes. Tech glitches happen, or you might forget your password. So there are times when you'll need to call customer service specifically for digital issues. Knowing the right phrases here can save you a lot of frustration and help you get to a resolution faster.
Like what kind of phrases?
Well, for instance, if you simply can't get into your account, you'd say, I'm having trouble logging into my account. Be ready to describe any error messages you're seeing, if possible. Or if you've forgotten your access credentials, could you reset my password, please? Is a direct way to ask for assistance. They'll have a verification process for that. Critically, if you notice suspicious activity online, maybe a transaction you don't recognize, you must immediately say, I'd like to report unauthorized transactions on my account. This means you believe someone has used your account without your permission, maybe hacked it, and it triggers a specific fraud investigation process to protect your funds. Act fast on this.
Okay, report unauthorized activity immediately. What else might come up?
You might need to say, my two-factor authentication isn't working. Maybe you're not receiving the codes. Or, I received a suspicious email or text message claiming to be from the bank, asking for my password. That's likely phishing, and you should report it to the bank. Definitely don't click any links or give info.
A good point on security. Now, a vital cultural note regarding online banking in the US fees. Are these services usually free?
For the most part, yes. The primary services, checking your balances, transferring money between your own accounts at that bank, paying bills using their bill pay system, mobile check deposit, are often completely free with most standard checking accounts. This is a huge benefit. However, certain specialized services can certainly incur fees. International wire transfers are a big one. They often have both an outgoing fee from your bank and sometimes fees from intermediary or recipient banks, plus currency conversion costs. Requesting an expedited debit card replacement, stopping payment on a check using an out-of-network ATM, these often have fees too. So it's always wise to ask, even online or when calling, is there a charge for that service before you proceed?
And if it's a transfer, especially international,
Definitely ask, how long will it take for the transfer to go through? International wires can take several business days. They're not instant like Zelle. Also ask about the exchange rate they're using. Manage your expectations.
okay, always check for fees and timing. Good advice.
And a final, incredibly important tip for online and mobile banking safety, especially if you ever happen to use a public computer, like at a library, or even just a shared device. Always, always make sure to log out completely when you're done. In the U.S., this isn't just good etiquette or a suggestion. It is an absolutely critical safety habit to protect your financial information from unauthorized access by the next user. This also extends to using strong, unique passwords for your bank accounts. Don't reuse passwords. Be extremely wary of phishing emails or texts that try to trick you into giving up your login information or clicking malicious links. And be cautious about using public Wi-Fi networks for sensitive banking activities if you can avoid it. Use your cellular data instead if possible, or a VPN.
So vigilance is key online.
Absolutely. Regularly monitoring your transactions online is also a key safety habit. Log in frequently, maybe even daily or every few days, just to glance at recent activity so you can spot any suspicious transactions immediately. It's a core component of digital security hygiene and personal responsibility in the digital age.
Makes sense. You have to be proactive. Now, even with the best planning and the most careful banking habits, problems can sometimes still arise. It happens. Maybe your debit card was unexpectedly declined at the grocery store, or you spotted a charge on your monthly statement that you absolutely do not recognize. These things happen. In the USA, solving these banking issues effectively means speaking clearly, staying polite even if you're frustrated, and using very specific terms. This helps the bank staff understand the exact nature of your problem and help you resolve it quickly. Remaining calm is also surprisingly helpful, even if you're internally screaming.
That's an excellent point. Panicking doesn't help. When you walk into the bank with an issue, or maybe you call customer service, the first thing you'll likely hear is that polite, open-ended question like, "How can I assist you today?" Oh, this is their invitation for you to explain your problem. And you should start directly, get right to the point. You could say, "I'm having an issue with my account," which is a general but clear way to signal there's a problem. Or, if it's a specific charge that's wrong, you might state, "There's a transaction I don't recognize on my statement." Give the date and amount if you can. And if your card isn't working when you think it should, "My debit card was declined and I'm not sure why," is the perfect way to initiate the investigation. Maybe it was flagged for fraud, maybe you hit a limit. These direct opening statements save time and help the bank representative categorize your issue quickly, directing you to the right person or starting the right process.
Okay, be direct. And for common, specific situations, there are key phrases you'll want to have ready in your back pocket, so to speak. If you see a charge that shouldn't be there, perhaps it's a duplicate charge from a merchant or something entirely unfamiliar from a place you've never been, what do you say?
You'll need to say, "I'd like to dispute a charge." This is the official terminology. It means you're formally asking the bank to investigate a payment you believe is either incorrect or was unauthorized. They'll guide you through the process, which often involves filling out a form or answering questions about the transaction. There are usually time limits for disputing charges, so act promptly.
Okay, dispute a charge. What if you wrote a check but now need to stop it, like you lost it or realized you sent it to the wrong place?
In that case, you would say, "I'd like to place a stop payment on a check." You'll need to provide the check number, the date, the amount, and who it was payable to. This tells the bank not to process that specific check if it's presented for payment. Be aware, though, there's almost always a fee for this service, often around $35. And it's not always guaranteed to work if the check has already been processed.
Got it. Stop payment has a fee. And of course, for lost, stolen, or maybe just damaged cards.
The clear request is, "Could you issue me a replacement card?" Or, more urgently, "I need to report my card lost, stolen, and request a new one." They will immediately deactivate the old card to prevent unauthorized use. You might also ask if they can issue you a temporary card on the spot at the branch, or if they offer expedited shipping for the new card, often for a small fee if you need it faster than the standard 5-7 business days.
Okay, good practical phrases. What about vocabulary specific to problem resolution? Any key terms to know?
Yes, several terms are vital. A fraud alert is something the bank might place on your account, or you might request, if there's suspected unauthorized activity. This helps protect your funds by flagging unusual transactions and prompting extra verification steps before certain transactions are approved. It's a protective measure. An account freeze is a much more drastic measure. This is when the bank temporarily blocks all activity on your account, deposits, withdrawals, everything. This usually happens if significant suspicious activity is detected, like a major hacking attempt, to protect your money. It means you cannot access your funds until the issue is fully investigated and resolved, so it's serious, but it's done for your protection.
Wow, an account freeze sounds scary, hopefully avoidable. What about numbers?
Your routing number. This is a unique 9-digit number that identifies your specific bank within the U.S. financial system. It's used for electronic transactions like setting up direct deposits, initiating wire transfers, or configuring automatic bill payments from external companies. You'll often need both your account number and your bank's routing number for these types of transactions. You can usually find the routing number easily on the bottom of your paper checks if you have them, or within your online banking portal, often under account details.
Okay, routing number for electronic stuff. Let's imagine a quick dialogue for a common problem. Disputing a strange charge. This happens more often than you might think. So you call customer service or go into the branch. You might say, "Hi, I noticed a $120 charge on my statement from XYZ store dated yesterday, but I've never visited that store. It's a little confusing."
Right. The banker or representative would likely respond, "Okay, let me take a look. I see that transaction here. Would you like me to file a dispute for you?"
And you'd say, "Yes, please, that would be very helpful. And just to be safe, could you also block my current card and issue a new one? I'm worried someone might have my card details."
Exactly. That last part is crucial. If you're disputing a potentially fraudulent charge, it's almost always wise to proactively block the card associated with it immediately to prevent any further unauthorized transactions while the dispute is investigated. Don't wait for the bank to suggest it necessarily.
Good tip, be proactive about blocking the card. Now, you mentioned staying polite even when frustrated. How does that help?
It's really important because maintaining politeness, even when you're upset, keeps the conversation productive and respectful. It encourages the representative to genuinely want to help you find a clear answer, rather than just going through the motions or getting defensive. Using phrases like, "Could you please explain why this happened?" helps you get information without sounding accusatory. Asking, "What are my options to resolve this?" demonstrates that you're focused on solutions, not just venting anger. And a phrase like, "I'd appreciate it if you could look into this quickly," politely conveys the urgency of your situation without being demanding or aggressive. Politeness often yields faster and more comprehensive assistance simply because you're seen as a reasonable person seeking help, not just someone complaining loudly. It really does work better most of the time.
Makes sense. Catch more flies with honey, as they say. What about truly urgent help, like realizing your wallet is gone late at night?
For situations like that, especially outside of normal banking hours, remember that most U.S. banks offer 24-hour toll-free helplines. These numbers are usually in the back of your debit card or easily found on the bank's website. These helplines are crucial for reporting lost or stolen cards immediately to get them deactivated, or for requesting a temporary account block if you suspect immediate fraud is happening. Don't wait until morning.
What should you say on those calls?
Be direct. "I need to report my debit card lost," or "I need to report my card stolen," or "I think there's fraud on my account. Can you temporarily block it while I investigate?" You can also ask, "When can I expect this issue to be resolved?" Or "What are the next steps?" to get an idea of the timeline for investigations or card replacement. And as a really important cultural note here related to security, it's vital to understand that customer service representatives in the U.S., whether in person or on the phone, are rigorously trained to follow specific procedures for identity verification before they can help you. This means they will very likely ask you for your full name, your account number, maybe your date of birth, the last 4 digits of your social security number if you have one, your address, or possibly answers to security questions you set up previously. This is absolutely normal and is put in place for your protection to ensure that only you, the actual account holder, can access sensitive information or authorize changes to your account. Don't be surprised or frustrated by these questions. They're a necessary part of the security protocol and actually a sign that your bank takes your financial security seriously. Just be prepared to answer them accurately.
Okay, expect verification questions. It's for my own good. So, wrapping up dealing with problems, what's the golden rule?
The golden rule when dealing with banking problems is really threefold. Be specific about the issue, stay as calm as possible, and always ask for confirmation at the end of the conversation. Don't leave or hang up without clarity on what was done and what happens next.
Confirmation like what?
For instance, always ask, could you send me a confirmation email summarizing what we discussed or the actions taken? Especially if the issue was resolved over the phone. This provides you with a written record. And if it's a more complex issue or a dispute that requires follow-up or investigation, definitely ask, can I get a reference number for this case? Or what's the case number? This ensures you have concrete proof of your request and a specific number to refer back to if you need to call again or follow up on the progress later. It acts as your paper trail, even for phone conversations, and is invaluable for tracking resolution.
That reference number seems key.
Having that reference number is absolutely invaluable. It transforms a potentially confusing he said, she said situation into a trackable case, giving you peace of mind and leverage if things don't get resolved as promised. It's truly your best friend for follow-ups.
Okay, fantastic advice. So we've now navigated the most important areas of U.S. banking English together. From those very first steps of opening an account to understanding everyday transactions at the counter or ATM, mastering online and mobile banking, and even confidently tackling problems with customer service when they pop up. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? But as always, simply knowing these phrases isn't quite enough. The key, the real secret to confidence and feeling genuinely at home with the system, is to practice using them until they become second nature. The more you practice, the less you'll hesitate in those real-life banking situations, the faster you'll understand, and the more natural you'll sound.
Exactly. Let's quickly recap some of the absolute essentials you should really try to keep top of mind from today's deep dive. When starting any banking conversation, you'll almost always hear that standard opening, how can I help you today? Have a clear, short answer ready, such as, I'd like to open a savings account, please, or I need to make a withdrawal, or I have a question about a fee. For opening accounts, remember those core terms. Checking account versus savings account. Understand what a minimum balance means and, crucially, how to avoid monthly fees. And definitely ask about setting up direct deposit for convenience and potential fee waivers.
Right. And at the counter, you'll be using practical phrases like, I'd like to make a deposit, specifying if it's cash or check and into which account. Or, I'd like to cash a check, remembering you'll likely need to endorse it on the back. You can also simply ask, can I get a balance inquiry? If you just need to know your current account balance without doing a full transaction. And for the increasingly dominant world of online and mobile banking, ensure you know how to set up a bill payment, schedule a transfer between your accounts, and understand critical security terms like two-factor authentication, 2FA. These are truly the backbone of modern money management and give you immense flexibility and control.
And finally, when problems inevitably arise, which they sometimes do for everyone, arm yourself with those specific terms that lead directly to solutions. Phrases like, I'd like to dispute a charge if you see something wrong on your statement. I need a replacement card for a lost, stolen, or damaged one. Or, if you suspect serious trouble, please place a fraud alert on my account. These specific phrases cut straight to the issue, allowing bank staff to help you efficiently and protect your finances much faster than vague complaints.
Okay, so those are the key phrases. Now, to truly integrate this knowledge and make it stick, we have some practical tips for you, the listener. Things you can actually do. First, role play scenarios. This might feel silly at first, but it works. Pretend you're at the bank or using the app and say the phrases out loud. If possible, do this with a friend or a language partner who can play the role of the teller or customer service rep. It makes it a dynamic practice session. You can even use your actual banking app as a visual aid while you practice navigating sections.
That's a great idea. Second, mix real banking tasks with learning. If you already have a U.S. bank account, challenge yourself occasionally to do a small, low-risk transaction in person instead of defaulting to the app or ATM, just to practice your English communication skills in a real-world setting. Even just going in to ask for change for a $20 bill can be a great micro-practice session for greetings and closings.
Good one. Small steps. What else?
Third, listen and repeat. Active listening is key. Next time you are in a U.S. bank, or even just listening to a customer service call on speakerphone perhaps, pay close attention to how tellers greet you, how they confirm details, so depositing $100 into checking, and how they end the conversation. Have a great day. Then try to mimic and repeat those patterns and phrases in your own practice, paying attention to their intonation and speed. It helps you sound more natural.
Listening to the rhythm of the conversation. I like that.
And fourth, write your own scripts. This can be really helpful for preparation. Prepare short, simple dialogues, maybe just 3 to 4 lines back and forth, for common situations you anticipate, like depositing money, asking about fees, reporting a lost card, or checking your balance. Keep these mini scripts handy, maybe in a notebook or a note on your phone. Then you can review them quickly before you go to the bank or make a call, tailoring them to your specific needs for that day. It builds confidence knowing you're prepared.
Excellent practical tips. Remember, everyone, banking English is not just about memorizing vocabulary words. It's really about clarity, politeness, and confidence. In the U.S. banking context, clear communication using these expected phrases can genuinely save you time, prevent costly mistakes, and surprisingly, even help build friendly, professional relationships with bank staff who might be more willing to help you later. It transforms what can feel like a potentially intimidating task into something manageable and even, dare I say, pleasant sometimes. It's all about empowering you to take control of your finances here.
So your challenge now is simple but powerful. Pick just one key phrase from each major section of this deep dive that we discussed today. So one phrase related to opening accounts, one for using the counter or ATM, one for online or mobile banking actions, and one for handling potential problems. And commit to actively using those 4 phrases sometime this week, either in a real-life banking interaction if you have one, or during your role-playing or scripting practice sessions. The more you actively use these real, practical expressions, the faster they will become completely second nature to you. You won't even have to think about them. By mastering these phrases, you'll be able to walk into any bank in the USA, whether it's a huge national branch like Chase or Bank of America, or a smaller local community bank or credit union, and handle your financial business with absolute confidence and professionalism. It truly is about unlocking a new level of self-reliance and feeling truly connected and capable in your new environment.
So, what does this all really mean when you zoom out? Mastering these specific banking phrases doesn't just make your banking tasks easier, that's just the surface level. It actually builds a much deeper foundation of confidence that extends far beyond your finances. It's about feeling truly at home, feeling capable and competent in a new cultural landscape, where understanding these subtle nuances of communication unlocks a whole new level of self sufficiency and independence. It transforms what might start as an intimidating chore dealing with the bank into a genuine act of personal empowerment, opening up so many more doors than just the bank vault, allowing you to fully participate and thrive in your new life here.